I am installing a one-chip ISP screen with an on-screen display into my Game Boy Color, today on Arctic Lab Services. This is a one-chip ISP screen kit that I got off of eBay. It comes with everything you will need except for the Game Boy Color mainboard. It has an on-screen display to adjust different features including horizontal and vertical alignment. This screen is 15% larger than the original screen. The shell is pre-trimmed and the replacement lens accommodates for the larger screen. If you need help taking apart your Game Boy Color, click the card above. If you're interested in purchasing this one-chip ISP kit, I have affiliate links in the description below. I like to start with the screen assembly. The on-screen display requires 3 buttons: the select button, the A button, and the B button. To be able to use these buttons, we need to solder 3 wires from the driver board to the main board. Let's prepare the driver board. Next to the ribbon cable, there is a set of solder pads. We are interested in the ones that say SEL, A, and B. Add flux and tin these 3 pads. After tinning the included wire, solder 1 wire to each pad. Clean up any leftover flux. To prepare the screen, flip it over and attach the insulating film. Line up one edge, and with a sweeping motion, press the film down. Lay the driver board and the screen next to each other so the Lego-style connector lines up. Gently press on the connector to lock it into place. Carefully flip over the assembly. I like to attach the driver board to the screen. You can use a piece from the center part of the screen adhesive, but I'm going to use a piece of my own double-sided tape. After placing it down and removing the backing, flip the driver board onto the screen. Line up the 2 edges before pressing it down. Now we need to put this insulating film on the driver board. This film is not very sticky. I just use a piece of Kapton tape to keep it in place. Now that the screen assembly is done, let's move on to the front shell. To apply the screen adhesive, remove just the outer ring of the adhesive. Gently lay the adhesive down with a large side to the bottom. Line up the corners first, then line up each edge before pressing it down. Then remove the adhesive backing. Remove the protective film from the screen. Line up the screen to the right and the top of the shell. I was a little off, but since I didn't press it down, it was easy to remove. Make sure that the screen is aligned before pressing it down. Before continuing, put the screen protector back on the screen. Line up the ribbon cable and the mainboard ZIF connector. Insert the ribbon cable into the ZIF connector and close the bail. Lay the assembly face down and position it with the mainboard facing you. Bring the 3 wires down the mainboard. Make sure the wires are in order. You have to move the select wire from the right side to the left. Make sure they are all flat and use a piece of tape to hold them in place. Measure and mark each wire to reach the test points above each button. Trim each wire where you marked it. Flux and tin each test point. Now trim and tin each wire. Keep in mind that the wire coating will shrink when you heat it up. Keep the leads as short as possible to avoid shorts. Now solder each wire to the test pads. Use very little solder here. The button membranes will be sitting on top of these test points and wires. We don't want any button issues later on. Make sure the wires are not sitting on top of any of these pins. If the pins puncture the wire, it could cause a short. Weave the wires in between the pins. Clean up any leftover flux. Gently use a sharp tool to remove any stubborn stuff. I use a piece of tape to hold the wires in place. Flip the assembly around so we can install the touch sensors. Simply remove the backing and stick them into place. I place mine along the top of the shell near the corners. Make sure the copper pads are not touching anything metal like the frame of the screen. You also have to be mindful of where the wire is. If it is too close to the shell, like I did here, it can also count as a touch. This becomes a problem because this is where I like to rest my fingers. Later on, I ended up moving the wires along the top of the shell instead. After the sensors, put in all the buttons, button membranes, power switch, and infrared window. Flip the main board down onto the front shell. But before you do that, make sure both ends of the ribbon cable are fully seated and the bails are fully closed. The ribbon cable on the driver board slipped out. It's a simple fix though. After laying the main board down, make sure the speaker is fully seated and the posts of the shell are in the holes of the main board. With everything in its proper place, screw in these 3 screws. The front half is complete. Let's move on to the back half. Yours might not come with the protective film on the cartridge shield. To be honest, you could leave it intact. You won't see it, even with a clear case, so you can remove it if you want. After you decide, put the rear shell on and screw in these 6 screws. Put the battery cover on to finish up the back half. Flip it over to install the new lens. Prepare the lens by first peeling off the center layers of the adhesive and paper. Then remove the backing from the outer ring of adhesive. Remove the screen protector and use it to remove any dust that may have gotten in. With the screen clean, place the corner of the lens in the corner and along one side of the bezel. Lay the lens down and make sure it lines up before pressing it down. Remove the protective film, and that's it. I did go back and make some changes. The first thing you will notice is that I removed the hideous Captain tape. I also put the old buttons and membranes back in. The new ones should work just fine. I thought the darker buttons looked better. I also moved the touch sensor wires to the top of the shell instead of along the sides of the shell. Let's check out the finished product. The pixel mode gives it a weird shimmer on the camera. It's not like that in person. The right touch sensor gives you 10 levels of brightness. The left sensor gives you 8 different colors. This is designed for the original Game Boy games. By pressing Select, A, and B at the same time, brings up the on-screen display options. Press B to scroll down. And press A to scroll up. Notice that the brightness has 20 levels. To adjust it, press and hold Select, then A. B turns it down, and A turns it up. Hold Select and A to confirm changes. To cancel changes, hold Select, then press B. There is also horizontal and vertical alignment, pixel effect, battery display, and color adjust. With color adjust, you can personalize the color of the screen. To close the on-screen display, press and hold Select, then press B. By pressing and holding the right sensor, you can bring up the battery indicator. From what I have heard, this doesn't work. We didn't bother installing the wires for this option. Press and hold it again to turn it off. Pressing and holding the left sensor will turn off pixel mode. Let's see what a game looks like. The pixels are super sharp. You can see it clearly with pixel mode off. Let me know what you think. Thanks for watching.